Welcome to the Horse Speak Book Club. I'm Laura Wilsey here, embarking on an amazing journey through the Horse Speak Trilogy. Here at the Horse Speak team, we are dedicated to educating our clients and being horses' well-deserved advocates and also giving horses a voice. We provide evidence-based knowledge that is intrinsic, observable, and repeatable. We offer online learning. We have a weekly video club as well as this book club. And the video club, we offer direct coaching. So her dynamics to riding. And then we also do in-person clinics at our home as well as the other parts of the United States and Europe. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at horsespeakacademy.com. This is a judgment-free zone. Everyone has a varied horsemanship background, and we ask to help keep the environment safe so no one feels shamed in any way, right? Safety is key, physically, mentally, and emotionally. All right. So we're starting on page number 20 with the subtitle of rude. The words we use to describe what horses are doing are hardwired to also make us feel a certain way. Some have studied the use of words in an attempt to understand how they impact how we feel within ourselves and how we relate to the outside world. For instance, the word money elicits a certain feeling. For some, it causes instant tension or a clamping sensation, possibly linked to feeling of anger or frustration or fear. For others, it causes an opening sensation and feelings of pleasure. Because of this, many financial advisors try to use words like funds when they talk to clients. They wish to avoid the word that might trigger a negative reaction. It is essential when analyzing your horse's actions that you pay attention to the words you use to describe them. Far too often, for instance, we assume the horse is being rude. This usually happens when he is doing something we don't like. But if we slow down and just take the facts as they are, try to really see it from the horse's point of view, we may discover the word doesn't really fit the situation. In addition, using such words to describe actions we don't like or calling our horses derogatory names like jerk, pig-headed, beast, or witch, for example, sets up an emotional reaction inside us. Feelings are not facts, and facts are not feelings. The fact might be the horse spooked sideways when you tried to saddle him. Your feeling about that fact might be it felt dangerous or disobedient or maybe rude. You may even apply such words to your own actions. I'm an idiot. I'm stupid. These feelings arise in reaction to the fact there are reactionary feelings, but not the real ones. The real feelings that matter usually lie one layer deeper. You get scared, then you get angry, then you assign meaning to the encounter. The horse was bad, or you were bad. From there, you may slip into a core belief, an assumption you make about yourself, others, or the world that you mistake for fact. For instance, your horse doesn't love you, or you aren't a good rider. There is a saying that the horse is a reflection of ourselves. I would suggest that the way we paint the image of the horse is the reflection of ourselves. If all the horse does is become reactive and we label them as rude, that says more about us than it does about him. Remember, horses are prey animals, and Mother Nature put those reactions in there for a reason. If you can learn even a few basics of horse speak and hold on to a couple of simple points of awareness in relationship to what horses value intrinsically, you can begin to lay these kinds of go-to assumptions to rest and enter into a conversation with your horse that is more productive. Science and art. As I mentioned in chapter 1, Horse speak is both a science and an art. There is a science in the mechanics of moving your body in specific ways to communicate. The art of horse speak develops when a person becomes fluent enough to respond to nuance. For horses to believe our body language, we must match our insides with our outsides. Trying to hide an emotion, like fear, for example, will never work because horses are uniquely clued in to the inner state of a predator species. That would be us. You can't lie to a horse. It is therefore more useful to simply acknowledge and label the emotion you might be experiencing than try to hide it or ignore it. Your horse does not care if you are feeling a particular emotion. He only cares that you are honest. Many of my students have found that by arriving at the barn and immediately telling their horses all about their daily stress, they felt better, and achieving congruency inside and out instantly calls the horses to them. When we line up our inside and our outside, we find that state of zero I mentioned back on page 11. The leader of the herd is the horse, who is the calmest nerves. With the calmest nerves, the most attuned horses, and the sharpest mind. Horses do not thrive on stress. In fact, it wears them down. For a herd to be healthy, its members need to stay in the state of mind I call zero. Because as we've discussed, people have so many attachment to labels, words, and meanings. Telling someone to stay calm may have the opposite effect. I use the word zero to simply mean being in a state of inner calm. That is the kind of leadership your horse is looking for. And then the gray box. The urge to control horses makes perfect sense. They are huge, emotional creatures capable of enormously athletic antics. Horses can be downright scary, and to deny this or try to act tough about it to set yourself up for incongruent action toward your horse, your insides and your outsides won't match. And your horse will know this. All right. And so then we have Isis.
Leadership. I'm going out on a limb here and say that training and leadership may not always be the same thing when it comes to horses. Cultivating the behaviors you want by punishing or minimizing the unwanted behavior is a standard practice. With many trainers, there is also an emphasis on making the right thing easy or somehow rewarding the behaviors you want to see. Leadership is not the same as dominance. No animal claims total dominion over another animal as a rule of thumb, except for humans. Within a herd, pack, or flock, members all form links in a chain, and the strength of the community is the most important part of the whole. The most important element is not, as some believe, the alpha role, whatever that is. The man who coined the phrase alpha wolf, David Metch, later recanted that idea. As his studies of wolves progressed, he came to understand that the behavior and roles in a pack were more nuanced and subtle. In the wild, the strongest male is usually the one who earns breeding rights, which ensures good genes for the babies. Other than mating season, however, large males are not necessarily the leaders. Most often, packs, herds, and other large groups have strong female leadership or are entirely made up of females, as you find in elephant herds. The group focus is on mutual safety, camaraderie, and community. The daily life of most animal groups is concerned with getting enough food, shelter, water, and watching out for each other. Wild animals do not want to waste precious energy bickering, and social groups have a wide variety of systems to ensure the peace and quiet that supports the health and vitality of the group and avoids attracting predators. In Chapter 1, I mentioned how Horse Speak teaches us to become the mother. Here's why. Leadership can be best witnessed by watching a mare in her foal. Mom is protective, nurturing, tolerant, yet also teaches her little one boundaries, rules, and, most importantly, how to communicate. Our domestic horses live in box stalls and in fields or paddocks that are surrounded by fences. There is a limited amount of experience young horses get out in the wide world. That is where we come in. If a horse has never been on a trail ride, his first one may be completely overwhelming. Mom never got to teach him how to handle the woods or the rocks or the fallen logs. Horses map their surroundings in their heads. It's one of their survival skills. If Mom gets turned out in a new pasture with her baby, she scans the horizon, sniffs the fence line, and tours the area to see what is what. If she tenses up for any reason during this exploration, her baby is supposed to freeze and wait for her to say all's clear or run. The leadership role that is the easiest for humans to pick up and emulate is that of the mother. Note that this is not to be confused with treating your horse like a baby. In fact, babyish horses, like the 18-year-old thoroughbred that acts like a yearling, will begin to grow up if you become mom. Taking on the leadership role that mom left behind means you begin to finish fulfilling the horse's need to follow the most important being in his life. You will be able to influence boundaries, bonding, and decision making. You'll be able to use the same kind of leadership his mother did to help him make new maps of the world, learn better, and feel calmer and more centered. That all important zero. With the wide variety of activities we usually expect our horses to participate in, offering the role of leadership that encapsulates clear, calm assertiveness is a good idea. X's and O's. By adopting an O posture, rounded shoulders and arms, hands lightly touching, head and neck relaxed, and softened jaw and lips, tight lips makes it look like you might bite, your brain and nervous system get the signal all's clear, you're safe. This posture urges your inner state in the direction of zero, causing you to breathe deeply. It is universally recognized as welcoming, beckoning, and softening. The opposite of this is the X posture. High, tense shoulders, tight lips, hard eyes, breath held, tense legs. All of this signals the brain to be on alert and hypervigilant, away from the state of zero. This posture sends adrenaline throughout our bodies and prepares us to fight, flee, or freeze. In today's world, we tend to get stuck in one posture or the other, in too much X or too much O, which is more like a slump. Depression, anxiety, childhood issues, stress, all lodge in our bodies. If too much time passes, we can reach the third stress response and freeze into either an X or an O, depending on our disposition. However, if we begin to pay attention to our X's and O's, our zero starts to show up more regularly.
Thank you so much. Nancy?
The horse's zero. Many horses have lost their zero due to long-term stress. Horses cannot find zero for themselves once they've reached this point. But when we make the state of zero our goal for ourselves in every situation, the horses find their way back too. Since they cannot usually either fight or flee from people, sometimes the domestic horse's response is to freeze in depression, confusion, or anxiety. He might also act out. Stomping, nipping, fidgeting, head tossing, or rubbing on you are always indicative of a horse losing his zero. A healthy, well-balanced horse does not need to de-stress himself by acting out. Rather than starting by addressing each little issue with a horse, crowding, pawing, pacing the stall, I aim straight for returning him to zero. I find problem behaviors often literally melt away as inner calm is returned to the horse. A calm horse is one who can pay attention, learn, and perform as a partner. He will offer to be with us in exchange for feeling this good in our presence. To illustrate this, think about being a kid in a school and getting called up to the front of the class to answer a question. The stress of being put on the spot may cause you to freeze. Maybe you can't even remember the question. Standing there, sweating, panicking, and feeling worse by the moment is not a good association with the lesson. Now imagine the teacher starts yelling at you or belittling you for not knowing the answer. Most of us, however, have had at least one teacher in school who was calm and understanding. That teacher might be fondly remembered, her image basked in a warm glow in your mind as you feel gratitude for the time you spent with her. Her own inner state of calm engendered the same in you, and this made it possible for you not only to learn more, but also eager to please and capable of performing better in the classroom. When a horse is calm, he is happy. A happy horse uses his O posture to show this. If you help your horse feel happy, he will seek to please you and will offer so much in return. The gray box. Trauma is not what happens to us, but what we hold inside in the absence of an empathetic witness. Slow way down. Horses are not machines, motorcycles, or computers. We tend to want a timely response, especially when we're riding at higher levels. But we need to remember that horses think slowly, but react quickly. This often means we are getting reactive answers, not thoughtful ones. Over time, when a horse really comprehends a cue with everything in his being and is not afraid to execute that maneuver, he can practice doing it with speed. We have been taught that a horse must be forward first to have the essential impulsion, rhythm, and balance needed to perform. However, the horse is then only learning by rote, which does not allow him to contemplate the essence of the lesson. The risk of a horse in this situation being triggered into hypervigilance and survival mode is very close to the surface. Slow way, way down to renegotiate everything you're trying to do or say to your horse. If you ask for something, wait for the thoughtful response instead of pushing for the reactive one. Learn to pause. I often suggest a person stay outside the stall, pen, or paddock, aiming her pointer finger toward the horse for a long time and watch what happens. Just observe without a purpose. You will start to connect the dots for yourself when you witness the horse move in some way in a minute or two. When you're done sending a message, be very careful to slowly remove the cue. If you have a confused, pushy, or fearful horse who reacts too quickly, then you need to use all your body movements as though you're swimming, slowly, rhythmically, and with a clear beginning and end. Remember the saying, hurry slowly. The more you allow a conversation with a horse to unfold in its own time, the more likely you will not have gaps and misunderstandings in your work together. The gray box. Just a second.
Oh, sorry.
Horse can be used as a diagnostic tool to uncover the real source of stress in a horse's life. When the horse feels better, he acts better and retains better health.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all for know what you're doing in regarding to reading these boxes as I forget. All right, and Miss Danuta, finish us off, please.
Horses value space. Remember this. Balanced boundaries make better bonding. Horses need their issues with personal space cleared up first. Then they can practice getting close. Most horses are confused about how close is too close, or when we really want closeness and where we don't. So if your foundation is personal space first, there is always a safe spot to retreat to for both of you. Horses value space. Let me say that again. Horses value space more than food, water, shelter, comfort, and touch. If a horse does not have space to move, he cannot escape. And Mother Nature designed him to be a master of fleeing. When horses feel crowded by us, if we invade their personal bubble all the time, if we never let up on the pressure, they have no space. When a horse steps away from you, turns his head away from you, or otherwise moves over for you, he is giving you room. Horses use space like money. When they really like you, they give you the thing they most coveted, space to be. Horse Speak begins any conversation with carefully approaching a horse's bubble of personal space. We don't even begin to say hello until we are welcome to approach. When I tell a horse I care more about personal space than about touching him, I seem like a safer being to hang around with. Then, clearing up the confusion surrounding anything that bothers that horse is already set on a platform of deep mutual respect. I never need to force respect through heavy-handed tactics. Respect and connection happen simultaneously because I value what the horses value. Safety in the world and clear personal boundaries. Horses give me respect because I am respectful of them. Grey box. Do not just throw your arms back down into what you may assume is a neutral stance. This often looks like an O to a horse, and he may perceive it as an invitation to come into your space. When a horse tends to be so overreactive, it is hard to accomplish even the small things. Keep your body in a constant X that is not threatening, but tells him you want boundaries at all times. A horse will feel safer, faster, when he knows the rules are not going to switch from boundaries to bonding and back to boundaries again, without any understanding as to why that is. How does the horse speak influence training? I consider training whatever it is that you enjoy about horsemanship. Whether you like driving or trail riding or jumping or dressage, training is the work you ask your horse to perform with you. Most of us work with other people, and we know there is a time to be busy and focused on the job, and there are also moments to hang out at the water cooler and talk. In addition, we know that when there is a work-related question, we of course must communicate with others to ask it, as well as be prepared to receive and understand the answer. With horse speak, you should begin to be able not only to hang out at the water cooler and talk to your horse, but also decode what work-related questions your horse may have for you, then effectively communicate your answers back to him. Although horse speak may cause you to re-evaluate what you are doing with your horse or how you are doing it, it doesn't necessarily need to be considered an alternative to the kind of training that you prefer or enjoy. This education can supplement your riding, driving, or groundwork, allowing you to gain clarity and insight into how to help your horse develop the potential you feel he already has. Horse speak will also help you become the person your horse needs you to be. I have successfully applied horse speak in conjunction with a wide variety of training modalities. Frequently, riders gain a completely new perspective when it comes to their work with their horses. One man sat through an entire seminar looking skeptical with his arms crossed, only to have such an eye-opening experience riding his horse using X and O's that he immediately wanted lessons. With horse speak, his horse found it easy to understand and perform the exercises that previously had caused the two the most trouble. When a horse senses that you are really trying to understand him, he is frequently so grateful that he seeks connection with you in new and surprising ways.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for reading today. So we can continue this foundation of horse speak and the package of the cognition, that the cognitive awareness that Sharon's trying to have us have with our horses, because there's so many nuggets in here. I was underlying a lot of different things. So to go backwards, you know, from where we just read, to be able to hang out at the water cooler and to have conversations, or just to observe the water tank. When I go to Wyoming, it's a fascinating experience to see 200 horses come into a small paddock where they hang out for the day and then watch the different little family pods navigate the water. And because it's about space, they are like masters of geometry and physics. They are always seeing where is the exit. And as we read, talking about the bubble of personal space, is that there's so many times where we accidentally cut off forward movement or pin the horse by accident in a corner, because we need to be aware of where the horse can arc. They can't just do a spin move like we can. They need to arc, like Sharon says, turning a canoe to be able to maneuver. Or if there is a spook and we end up like, we could use that word rude because there's a spook and the horse does move, like does a roll back and move sideways and knocks into you because you're standing at the shoulder. All right. So they couldn't go left because the fence is there. They had to go right and you're standing right there and they bump into you. And they truly are masters of their bubble of personal space. And then there are these circumstances where if the horse is already stressed, just like us, if we already have a couple stressors and then the snow falls off the roof, we might freak out and make a decision that we wouldn't have made if we didn't have a couple stressors already. So if the horse is already in a low level of stress, the snow falls off the roof, we're not aware of the bubble of personal space, we can get hit in the face. That's 100% true. Okay, I know from first face experience, and some of you have seen the video of me and Bo in the corner during a video session when we were doing the HRV study, and I set him up for 100% failure. I did. It was my fault that that accident happened and I got hit in the face. So I can see it. I didn't value his space. I'm leaning over and the horse's face was right here. An accident happened, the camera fell. And literally when the camera slid on the tripod, the snow fell off the roof. Bo got scared. And because I didn't say, hey, Bo, stay over there, keep your face away from my face, I'm going to set down this camera. I was in task tunnel vision, not being aware, and an accident happened. And that is the thing. When these accidents happen with horses, you get stepped on, you get bumped into, you get whacked in the face. It's because we are just in la la land in our mind. We're not like looking at the next steps. It's kind of like when you play billiards, when you're shooting pool. The goal is, if you're really good, to strategize, okay, if I hit this ball here, I can stop the cue ball, so then I can get another move over here. Or if you don't have a shot, how can I make it so the cue ball is nowhere to be helpful to my opponent, right? So that's really where the horses are strategizing all the time. And we, in the first book, we read about sports maneuvers and fire drills. They go into corners to figure out who's going to move where. And so if you're in a corner, be at their girth or jump up button area, mostly at the girth, because then the pivot point, that's where they pivot. So they can step wide with that inside shoulder to take a turn around you, versus if you're at their shoulder, there's nowhere for them to go. Okay. So that is definitely one of those things that can prevent any accidents, as well as the gray box on page 27. If you have a horse who has a tendency to bump into your bubble of personal space, guarantee it is because your hand is dropping too low. So with our active awareness, we want to be sure we can navigate cheek, neck, and shoulder with them. And if we do have a space invader, I'm going to keep my hand up at the cheek the whole time. And he might bump into my hand and be like, and no, thank you. And then, so it'd be a little prong hand and then back to hold hand. And the hold hand is a place of connection. Here, this is my bubble. In there, your bubble. We have a glass wall between us. So then I know where my lane and the horse knows where his lane is. So if I have a space invader and I drop my hand, then see my hand is up. This is a light X. And then, oh, my shoulder drops, everything drops. And then it's even a scooping motion with my shoulder. It's subtle, but that's, horses see, their vision is magnified and they are masters of micro movements. So therefore, me scooping my shoulder a little bit, it's like, oh, you want me to come back in. And so this is another like tiny little thing that can make a huge difference with a horse who is definitely, if he's on the space invader spectrum, as well as maybe having a little stress. Because again, it circles back to a little bit of stress You're not going to be in your problem solving mind, period. So we want to be problem solvers. We want to be stress detectors. We want to be able to be congruent on the inside, like Sharon had said in the book. When we show up and say, hey, horse, and you dump your day on them and talk about all the stressors and whatever happened, then you feel liberated and you're not holding on to that stuff, right? Even if you don't want to tell your horse, talk to a tree, talk to something just to get it off your chest. So then when you show up, pardon me, with your horse, then you're free of whatever stressors had happened. I apologize. I'm still a little bit sick. I did not bring any cough drops with me. So anyway, so Horse Speak can be used as a diagnostic tool to uncover the real source of stress in a horse's life. When the horse feels better, he acts better and retains better health. Excuse me. So this is the thing. I actually had this, I had to go pick up some medication at the vet office this morning. And I ended up talking to my vet. And she's a younger gal. I think she's been practicing now for about 10 years. And we just got into this, like, many different rabbit holes of conversation. And I was telling her about, it's like so funny because a couple of the things that we read about today were in the conversation that I had with her. And I said, one of the things that we really see with horses is that if there is a behavior challenge in the dynamic, and yet also, please, I didn't say, if you want to say something, raise your virtual hand or throw something in a chat. So then we can, this is a two-way street, actually. I'm not just here to be on soapboxes and talk the whole time. So anyway, I said to her, you know, if we have a horse that's acting, you know, with weird behavior, it's like, okay, physically, what is going on with this horse? Then we find out physical stuff, ulcers, a sore stifle, teeth. Teeth are huge. Oh, the occipital is off and they need a chiropractor, whatever. You figure out the physical stuff. A lot of times the emotional stuff just dwindles away. I don't like being sick. I am not a good patient. I'm a doer. I want to get stuff done. Body, you better not let me down, right? And then if it is letting me down, I'm like, hey, my environment, you better watch out. I've gotten better over the years, but either way, I don't like feeling uncomfortable and being sick. Period. That's just my me. So because of that, you know, we experience that. I'm sure people who are also horse people hate being taken out. You've had a surgery or whatever. You just want to be 100% always, right? So therefore, similarly for horses, they act poorly because they feel like crap. So we get them feeling healthy. Again, the emotions go away. Then we're available. Then it is available. They are available because they are not motorcycles. They're not any kind of machine. They are feeling, being, and, like I said, emotions and physical stuff over there. Now the being is here, ready, willing, and able to do cool training stuff with you. Whatever it is. Groundwork, riding. Horses do like to be ridden. They do, especially when we take the time and build that relationship of safety and connection and respect, especially the bubble thing, talking bubble of personal space. That's so huge. It's like money to them. So she said it twice, horses value space. Let me say that again. Horses value space more than food, water, shelter, comfort, and touch. Okay. It's so important that we pay attention to the bubble of personal space. So, because then what are we doing when we're riding? We're asking them, hey, can we merge our bubbles together? So the more that we are saying, you have your lane, I have my lane, it's going to be clear all the time. You know, that's the thing. in the gray box on page 27, a horse will feel safer, faster when he knows the rules are not going to switch from boundaries to bonding and back to boundaries again without any understanding as to what that is. So, having your hands up and available all the time in a way that is not straining on your shoulders. This is part of the mechanics, the science of horse speak, is when we have the best awareness of our pelvis and the awareness of the fact that our energy is coming in our muscles. It's all, we're one unit. We're supposed to be one unit working together, and it comes through the core energy, through the pelvis, and then out to our shoulders and our arms. So when we do not pay attention to our pelvis and our core energy, this is when we get shoulder injuries, back injuries, things of that nature, because we're asking these smaller muscles to do the work when the glutes, our butt, and our quads are the big muscle sets of our body. We're asking those to hold us up, to be the powerhouse of the energy going up through our arms. I was moving tires on rims this morning and yesterday, and every time I lifted a tire, I don't know how much they were, there was probably 60, 70 pounds. I paused, took a breath, got into my pelvis, and lifted. I didn't arch my back backwards and do all kinds of crazy stuff because, one, I can't get hurt. I have to be able to lift 60, 70 pounds of stuff regularly and not be laying in bed because I injured my back because I'm not paying attention, right? So again, for horses, they have their carrying power is through their pelvis also. And so therefore, if we are mindful, we're training an athlete. A horse is an athlete if we're riding them, or if we're actually asking them to lunge, or any other, even just walking. Walking is an athletic thing. And if we're walking out of balance, like if we have injuries and we're like dragging our leg around because our hip is sore, we're not being mindful, we're counterbalancing on our other leg. So then our other hip's going to hurt, our knee's going to hurt, our ankle's going to hurt. The same stuff happens to horses. So when we are able to have observation, active awareness, and active awareness of our zero, then we are able to see what's going on with the horse. And that's why zero is so important, because if we're stressed about whatever, the drop-down menu of stress that we all have, then we're not present. And that's really what the bottom line is about, like zero. Zero is active, the ability to have active awareness because we have inner calm. So then if the snow does fall off the roof and our horse does smack us in the face, then we can be like, hey, snow, don't scare my horse. Follow me button, girth, do all the buttons just like that, because it does become intrinsic. This does become intrinsic. For those who have seen the video of me and Bo, or Bo and I, you can see immediately, scary thing, into buttons, help him get calmer. Boom, reconnect with me. I've got you. I've got us. Let's do this thing. Okay? Because it's magical thinking to think that weird stuff isn't going to happen. We want safety, 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 and weird stuff happens, and there may be a moment when we do have an injury and we still have to deal with a horse in our hand, right? Like, that's just the fact. How can we have that resiliency? And that's what we're really wanting to practice is resiliency. So I see there's a couple chats. And then, yeah, X and O posture. This is huge. This is like a tiny little section of this reading, and this is everything. To be able to navigate through our X's and O's and to be able to show up differently for every horse that we may be in contact with our X and O is so important. And so with that being said, it's from a horse speak perspective, eye contact, eye contact, eye contact. Yes, yes, and yes. And the reason why there may be this thing out in the horse world that don't look at your horse in your eye, in the eye, or stare at them. It is the staring. It is this thing. X posture, high, tense shoulders, tight lips, hard eyes, breath held, tense legs. All of this signals to the brain to be on alert and hypervigilant, away from a state of zero. This posture sends adrenaline throughout our bodies and prepares us fight, flee, or freeze. So, then I kicked the table. So, with that being said, if we are staring and clamping and not breathing, that is an X posture. So, yeah, don't do that. But be breathing, blinking. Hi, horse. How's it going today? Look at them in their eye and be like, yeah, I'm here. I'm zero. I'm having a nice day. Yeah, maybe I had some crap going on earlier today, but that's okay. Tail swish. I'm here with you right now. Let's have a good time together. All right. So yeah, it's this slow way down. Just circle back around a slow way down, because that's just really, the thing. I mean, this whole chapter is full of nuggets. So I'm going to pause and read the chats that are in there. And like I highlighted even, the whole thing about rude, revisit that. If you're a person who accidentally pulls, goes into these name calling ways, it does feel rude. It does feel rude to be stepped on. And it also is, what did I do? I take responsibility for me to circle back around to my embarrassing story of not setting up Bo for success, knowing better. I did not have awareness of my space and his space. So it wasn't his fault. 100%. It wasn't his fault. I put him on a lead rope. I took him into this situation. I. And part of my role in Horse Speak is to be the one who gets put under the bus, because under my bus is very clean, because I do make these little mistakes for the benefit of you. Not on purpose, but that's what happens, is that, because Sharon is why we're here, and this woman doesn't make freaking mistakes. Period. She doesn't make mistakes with horses because she slows down. She knows what's going to happen. She can see the angles and the arcs and all that stuff. She doesn't make mistakes. I've seen her make one mistake in 15 years. One, in front of an audience in Holland. She jumped protocol. She jumped protocol with this mare who was already a sensitive mare, had an amazing, all the buttons on one side. She jumped the gun, went to the right side and went right to girth, and the horse threatened to bite her. She was like, whoops, I didn't do protocol. That is the thing. It is the thing. Like, that's why we have these protocols. There is so many nuances within what we're teaching with Horse Speak, but some of the protocols are there for a reason, for safety. If we're, have a mare who is already a little bit stressed and we did protocol on one side, then we should oblige and be doing protocol on the other side, just as we did. We spent the time at all the buttons, cheek, neck, and shoulder, and then we got to the girth. Not, hey, I'm on your other side. We had such a good time on the left side. How about here? And the horse was like, nope. So it was a great learning experience, right? Like, and that's the thing too. When I make a mistake, and I hope for you, if you make a mistake, don't take it personal. It's just part of the journey. Because when we make a mistake, we're like, well, I guess I won't do that again. I mean, that's just all we can do. It's not to be hit yourself with a bad stick. Okay. Please don't do that. This is a practice. We are practicing as if we were going to play sports, right? I played basketball and many other sports, but basketball was my main one. And I had to practice my form. And so I'm not going to get every freaking shot every time. That would be silly. Oh, I made 9 out of 10 and I'd be mad because I missed one. Come on now. That's crazy. No one's perfect. Nothing is perfect. Okay. But all we're doing is practicing to see things and all the drop down menu that we're doing here with Horse Speak. Okay. So I'm closing the book to not reference any more things because, again, this is a powerful few pages here in this book. So, let's see. PJ, as important, acknowledging boundaries shows the horse that we know where those boundaries are and builds better trust in our being a good leader. 100%. Thank you for saying that, because it is so important that we also, it's about having manners, right? So we may have humans in our world that we're like, wow, their manners could be a little bit better. So same thing for us with the horses. Our manners matter, okay? Because if we want to have the horse have manners, we need to have manners too. All right, hand of the cheek is good advice for space invaders. In the case of Rico, hand at the follow me button works better. Just another option you taught me. Yeah. So horse, are you able to follow me? And so he is. So he needs more like you're with me versus here's the cheek boundary, right? Like he wants to be able to follow you. And the follow me button is it's the mama button. So we call bridge of the nose the papa button, and the follow me button is the mama button. So he's like, yeah, mama, I can follow you. This is amazing, And if you have a horse that doesn't want you to touch their pole at the follow me button, then how interesting, we need to do some enrichment there, because the horse is saying, well, I can't follow you. And you're not bad or wrong or anything. It's just information. And we have the tools with Horse Speak to be able to help enrich that space, because we want all the buttons to be able to connect with us. All right, what else? With Rico, on our last ride, Rico was moving smoothly through walk in a square, not stopping after each right angle. But when I sent him at a tighter angle to change direction, he would stop after the turn. I was wondering how to support those tighter turns, like touching the outside leg to jump up button. Well, it depends on, because Rico does have some soreness, and right now I can't remember exactly where I think it's the right stifle is the one that needs enrichment. So it just depends on if he can do a tighter circle turn going one direction and is hard for the other direction. Most likely it's because it's uncomfortable. So therefore, it might not be smooth. He might not be able to do it. And yeah, sure, you could try supporting with the outside leg with the jump up. And that is like with any turns that we're doing, we want to be able, after the right angle. Yeah, so if he's turning to the right, then he's on that right stifle. And if it's a tight turn, then he's going to have to pivot on that right stifle. And that's going to be uncomfortable for him. So, you might just have to do wider turns going to the right. And just like us, we have strong sides and weak sides. And maybe over time, if we strengthen that right leg and he has the proprioception and the pelvis is working good, and then so he's having other carrying power through the jump up button up to his spine, then he could lift that leg better or pivot on that leg. But with the weakness, it might not be possible right now. And it would be cool to see if we could strengthen, and then it could be possible in the future. So yeah, that's what my mind goes through in regards to that. So doing some stuff with him on the ground and helping him have awareness of that, and just go slow. If we're going to do some groundwork with reconditioning, and to see like what angle is good, and then seeing where angle is bad, or challenging, and then maybe holding sit button, and if you're practicing riding him in your mind, be like, sit forward, sit through that stifle. Because we really imagine strings, so marionette string in your mind, sit through stifle up to your pelvis, up to where I'm sitting through the jump up button, because that's where he needs to be able to lift you. Let him lift you. Okay, so give that a whirl. You're welcome. Thank you for making mistakes for us. Absolutely. I was walking with Harry in a halter, asking him to step and rock back before turning a corner. Yes, this is also very good. The expression on his face was that of amazement. He literally took me to the next corner to repeat the process. Maybe rocking back could help Rico. Danuta, wunderbar, which is wonderful in German, one of my German words. Yes, rock back to go forward. So what you could do is pause, because if we know this is a challenge, pause, rock back, and see what happens. Load up that leg to give it some strength, and then, hey, can we make this turn? So that is a fantastic thing. Laura got us rocking back after each stop. Went great last time. I will try stopping and rocking back before tight turns. Thanks to Nuda. Yes. By right angle, I meant 90 degrees. I think that stopping was in both directions. I don't have a problem with him stopping, just figuring out how to help. Yeah. Right. So I hope what I said was helpful. So I guess thank you for the clarity in regards to words. So yeah, and sometimes tight turns are just hard. And then are we getting knocked off balance in doing tight turns too? Right. So we want to make sure if we are practicing a tight turn that we have the in our mind that we're just like, and move that shoulder sideways. So don't be falling over by accident or anything like that. It's kind of like if I were to be able to just go like this, and I'm exaggerating with a yoga rain demonstration, and we can do it if we were sitting and just be like, just lift a little bit, just a little sideways. If you had a string to the shoulder, lift your shoulder, sit back, and like kind of reverse engineer how he could set up his body. Sit, Rico, sit, lean back, and step. Step wide and see if we can pivot over the hind end. But yeah, I mean, again, with having a little bit weak of a hind end, then tight turns can be a challenge. So I hope that what you're doing, by the way, Violet, is beautiful because you really have been able to have these beautiful rides because you're taking the time to notice and help him. And it's really great. I'm so appreciative that you're on this journey with us because you're able to do your homework and so now you're like, how can I do this like very technical thing with him, right? That's where you're going. I love this because we were able to figure out pain. We were able to figure out safety. We were able to figure out, safety equals emotional stuff. So boom, you're in it. You're in it. You're having the fun stuff. Now let's start being a little bit picky, right? And then again, we don't want to overpick anything because then that can be frustrating for the horse. Hey, let's try this a couple times. And then, so my turn, let's work on this tight angle. Your turn is we're going to go do whatever it is that he likes to do, right? So make sure that, it's a balance of my turn, your turn. Let's not get into task tunnel vision by accident because we want to be having fun, even when we're trying to do technical stuff. And especially like for a brain like my own, when I do technical work, it's exhausting. It really is. I have this, when I have to slow down, really think about what I'm doing with my body, it's highly important for me to just be in my processing of I'm a little bit slow, and that's fine. No judgment on my own. So, hey, it was a pleasure sharing space with you today. We wanted to give you the gift that horses gave Sharon, which is the exact and specific nuances of how body language can communicate clearly with horses. And all we need to do is take the time to learn how. Check out our website if you would like to learn more about in-person and online opportunities at horsespeakacademy.com. May you enjoy the journey of learning horse speak and have fun while doing so. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. Be well till next time. Have a good day.